Email's been around for a number of years now, and while most of us have an email account and have sent and received emails, we probably have some questions about features or things that we can do with our email accounts, or even things like, where does that email go when we send it anyway? First of all, let's understand a little bit about email. You probably have an email address that says something at yahoo.com or something at AOL.com. Whatever the name of that company is after the @ sign, that's where your email is being stored. So for example, if my email address was stephanie@yahoo.com, then my email is being stored on a Yahoo server. A server is like a giant supercomputer. We can picture it like that. There are these big computers that store all of the files that we can access anytime we want to. So if somebody sends me an email and it gets received into my Yahoo account, all I have to do is go on my computer to yahoo.com and I put in my email address and my password, and there's all my email. So whether your email address is Optimum or Verizon or Hotmail, it all works similarly. Your email is actually kept and stored on this server or supercomputer, and you simply access it when you go on your computer to Hotmail or wherever, and you log in with your username and password. Now, some email systems on your computer may be set up so you don't have to log in every single time. For example, there's a very popular program called Outlook. Outlook, when they set it up once, and you might even use this at work, your IT department configured Outlook to always connect to that server. So when you come to work in the morning, you turn on your computer and there's your email. You never logged on, you never put in a username or password, it's a permanent connection. But it's good for you to know that this connection can be made elsewhere. So if you weren't at work in front of that particular computer, if instead you were home and you needed to access your email, there's always a way to go in with that username and password and access your email. Now, there's lots of free email available to you. Some of the ones I just mentioned, like Yahoo and Hotmail, Gmail, they're all free. Also, when you sign up for internet service in your house, whether it's through Optimum or Verizon or any other company, they also offer you an email address for free. Now, I'm one of those people that never turns down anything that's for free, but you might want to keep in mind that having an email address that you're not going to change very often might be a good thing. Because once people know your email address and they save it to their own computer, you don't really want to be changing it very often. So personally, I prefer getting email through one of the companies that's not connected with my personal internet. A company like Gmail or Yahoo, for example. Because while I might be signed up at my home right now with Verizon or Optimum, if suddenly we decided to move to another state, I would have a different internet service provider, and then I'd have to change my email address. So that's just my personal preference. We're going to be looking at my Gmail account. I also have had a Yahoo account. They're all very, very similar. But let's look at a Gmail account to see some of the features. Here's my Gmail account up on the screen. You can see all of the email that's come in today. You also see, if I click here, I have my contacts. All of the people that have emailed me before or people I've saved to my contact file. Now, certainly one of the problems with switching your email from, say, Hotmail to Yahoo or something is you think, oh no, I'm going to lose my address book. Well, all of the different email providers have a very simple way to do it. Let me just click here. I went to Contacts, and here on Gmail, under More, I have an option to import or export. In computer speak, import means that I'm taking contacts from someplace else and putting them here. Export would be the opposite. I'm taking the contacts that are here and I'm putting them someplace else. All email providers have these options to import and export your contacts. So it's certainly no problem with that if you decide to change. As I mentioned, the only real problem is that all of your friends probably have your email address saved already. And even that, there's a workaround. There's something called email forwarding. Forwarding is similar to call forwarding. Let's suppose you sold your house and moved to a new location. Well, you can tell the phone company, please forward my calls. Maybe they'll do it for the first 6 months or so that anyone who calls your old phone number will automatically get forwarded to your new phone number. Either it will happen automatically or they'll get a little message that says, this person has moved and here's the new phone number. Well, email does the same thing. So if for some reason you were using a Yahoo account and you decide to switch to a Gmail account or any other reason, you can absolutely import and export your contacts and you can forward your email. Phew, that's a relief. But once we find one and learn all of the steps to it, we might want to stick with it. So here I am back in my mail. If I'd like to read my mail, certainly I would just go down the list and I can open any of my emails here and read the email. If I want to write a new email, it's usually called compose. And when I compose an email, I'm going to fill in someone's email address on the to line. There we go. The subject, or what it is that I'm writing about. It's always good to put something there and not leave it blank because that might be the only thing people can see. And finally, I get to write the rest of the email. Now, some of the things you may want to do with email include attaching a file. For example, I'm writing an email to this person, but I also want to send them some documents or some pictures that I took of the family reunion. Here it is. It says attach a file. All of the different email systems have some way of attaching a file, and the universal symbol for attaching a file is this little paper clip. So even if it doesn't say attach a file, you'll see the paper clip. Once I click on that, this box that opened up is showing my entire computer. I can look through all of my documents until I find the document that I want to attach. Once I find it, I'll just go through these things, and there's one. I double click on it, and you'll see here that this particular document is going to attach to the email. Once that blue line has filled in, I'm ready to send. I could attach another file. I could attach lots of files. Some of the reasons why one email provider might be better than another, depending upon your needs, has to do with attachments. Different email providers have limits on what size or how many things you can attach. So if you're big on attaching and sending things, that might be something to consider. Another thing you can do with email is you can write to multiple people. You can put your people together in groups. I'll go back here to contacts, and here's some of the groups that I have. People that are all together in one particular facet of life. So if I wanted to click on one of my groups, highlight them all, and send an email, you'll see now in the to line, all of those people's names showed up. You've probably received emails that you can see a huge group of names there. You know you're not the only one receiving that email. But there's a little bit nicer way to do this than to have all of those names showing up. For one thing, that's kind of going against some of those people's privacy. If you send a group email to 50 people, that means all 50 people now have everybody else's email address. And people may not want that. Also, if you get a group email that you know 50 people got, it doesn't feel very personal. So there is a way around it. If I took all of these people here, I'm just going to highlight them all and copy them out. You've probably seen where you could right-click and copy people. Underneath we have add a CC or add a BCC. CC stands for carbon copy, back from the day when we would actually make a carbon copy. BCC stands for a blind carbon copy. I think I would rather have all those names under the blind carbon copy. I don't want to clutter up the field with 50 emails, and I also don't want it to feel so impersonal. So I'm taking all of those names from my to line and I'm going to put them under the blind carbon copy. If I choose to do that, I do have to send it to somebody in the to line, at least one person. But you know what? I could always opt to send it to myself. And if I send it to myself, I won't feel as if they're getting that huge amount of people there. So these are some of the things we can do with email: attachments, copies, blind carbon copies, and one other. If you look down here, each of my emails is going to have my little logo on it. That's called a custom signature. On Gmail, custom signatures are here under Mail Settings. And if you have some time, you could tool around Mail Settings and see lots of things. But here is the custom signature. I could put a different signature there. I could put pictures or text. That's a nice quick way of putting your email address or a nice little message at the bottom of everything without having to type it all over and over. So things to remember with email: we have signatures, importing and exporting contacts, carbon copies, blind carbon copies, attachments. The possibilities are endless. So get on your email and start contacting some people. Next, we're going to talk about texting and some tips and tricks that we can follow.